Hey everybody, welcome back. Bill Caskey here. We don't have our normal awesome camera set up because for some reason my inputs on my computer are not working right. So anyway, we got the next best thing, which is the onboard camera. We're going to talk about time today, how you leverage it, how you think about it, how you use it. I've got 4 or 5 things here that I think might be helpful. And we're not going to talk about hey, you only have so much time on this planet. I'm sure that's true. I know that's true. Every day is a blessing. I love that. It's true. We're going to talk about it from a principle standpoint here. And because I feel that whenever we do a topic like this, it's important that we look at the principle behind the thing so that we can have half a chance to fix it and to remedy it. So that's what we're going to do today. My name is Bill Caskey. I come to you every day, 8:30 live for sales professionals, business owners, anybody in business, anybody who wants to improve their relationship with success and achievement, and especially in the sales and client service area. That's what we do here. So my philosophy is that we're all on a mission to reach our potential. And if we can use tools like this, like I give you and a lot of people online that are really good at it give you, then use them, and they're free. So let's talk about time here. And I like to think of this as a point of leverage. And we all have so much time during the day. I look at it as a currency. I look at it as we have been granted this currency 1 minute at a time or 1 second at a time, but let's just say 24 hours at a time. And we don't know when the last 24 hours will be. We can predict, but we really don't know. So the question is, what do we trade that currency for? So it's like cash. We have cash. It's time, and we're trading that time for something. What are we trading it for? When we trade cash, we're trading it for cars, for houses, for computers that work, new glasses. We trade it for a lot of things. But when we're in business, time is our currency that we trade for something. Steve Jobs had the same 24 hours you do. He built a $1 trillion market cap business. It's not to compare, it's to learn from and say, well, he used his time very differently. And plus, there was the right timing and all that for the marketplace. But the question is, how do we use our currency? How do we use it? And so there's a couple things here that I think are important. Number one, I think it's important how we communicate. Our communication can be a time saver or a time waster. Here's an example. My wife recently became executive, or is it executor? Executive? Executioner. No, she wasn't an executioner. She was executing an estate from her mother. And I've said this before, but it's right on my mind because nobody really gave her anything. Nobody gave her like, here's what you do first, second, death certificate, this, and this. Nobody did that. And so she's wrestling around, and me too, trying to figure out, well, what's the process here? So she had to go back to the accountant 4 or 5 times, and he would say something, and then we would forget. And then I bet we used an hour and a half of his time. Had he communicated properly up front, either in writing or have a document that he said, look, here's your checklist, because he has people dying all the time and people are executors, he would have saved, just think about, he would have saved an hour and a half for us, but multiply that over 5 years with the hundreds of people who have come to him with that same request. I bet it cost him $50,000 in billable time over those 5 or 6 years with people who all he had to do was create a checklist. He didn't. So communication is a way that you can either waste time or save time. So for example, in the sales process, you might communicate, maybe you have a first meeting with somebody. And after that first meeting, there's a second meeting. Well, maybe after that second meeting, there's a third meeting and a fourth meeting and a fifth meeting, which is fine, but can we condense that? I'm not trying to shove people through the sales process too quickly at all, because it takes time. And some of your sales cycles are complex, they're long, they're drawn out. But what can we do to shave a little bit off that? Can we be more efficient at our communication during the first part of that so that the sales process moves quicker? Welcome. If you have any comments, make sure you let me know. I see a few people on here. We're on YouTube and LinkedIn today. So communication, you don't ever think of communication as a matter of time, but it really is. because the clearer you are at communicating your value, and we're going to talk a little bit more about your ideal client here in a minute, the better, the more time you will save on the back end. It never feels like it's a waste of time to not talk about those on the front end, but then you have to come back and do it again and do it again. And then the customer said, no, wait a minute. What was the price of that? Well, we didn't communicate it appropriately. We either didn't write it down, we didn't stress it, we didn't emphasize it. So communication, look to that today and say, how can I be communicating more succinctly, more concisely, more specifically, so that I can save time from having to redo things? Dave Harding is a former client of mine and friend. He had a saying, and I'm not sure where he got it. I've heard it, but Dave's the first person I heard it from, all attributed to him. We never have time to do it right, but we always have time to do it over. And he's in the printing business. And a lot of times it wouldn't get the specs right up front, and we were rushing to get it done. And we realized that it's supposed to be on a different kind of paper. And then the customer would say, that's not the kind of paper I ordered. So we'd carve everything away and say, okay, we have time to do it over. And I think that's the case for communication. We're rushed and we're hurried, and we don't have time to communicate properly, but we always have time to re-communicate and follow up. So communication is number one. Number two, as a way to leverage our time, now this is going to be out there here, but hear me out. I think we need to do a better job of defining our ideal client. And that simply means that if you're closing, let's just say 20% of the deals you propose, that's pretty good. I mean, that's kind of average. It's not good, but it's kind of average. I want that to be 50 to 70% of the deals you close. There's no reason it can't be. Now, you might do fewer deals, propose fewer deals. But the problem with the 20% ratio is that 80% of your time you're wasting. So I don't care what your planning session looks like. You're planning an hour a day before, on 4 o'clock the day before, you're planning your day out, you're making all these calls. But if you're only closing 20% of your business, you're wasting 80% of your time in pursuit of things that aren't going to happen. I say forego the time planning, just get good at 50%. You'll have all the time you need and probably all the money you need too. So this idea that we can't find time because we're too busy, we're probably too busy calling on the wrong people, saying the wrong things to the wrong people at the wrong time. And we keep working and proposing and reproposing and tweaking, and it's never going to happen. And I know you guys, I love it. I love it when you say, yeah, but, I got to keep moving, and maybe they'll not do business today, but maybe they will 7 years from now. Yeah. How often does that happen? Oh, you'll pull out one thing that happened 25 years. Oh yeah, I remember that time I did that. Ain't going to happen. So I would rather you close 50 to 70% of your deals, work on fewer, pick up that time. That's a great time saving device. Okay. So who is your ideal client, and are you saying no to those people that aren't? The second part of number two is, what are the problems they solved? Are we really clued into the kinds of problems they have? I don't think we are. I think we look at a very superficial way at the problems that our clients have. And I think a good way to spend some time is to think through, what are the problems that a potential prospect has, typically in my niche, in my audience, that keeps them from getting to where they want to go. See, problems don't occur in a vacuum. Problems occur on a route from where they are to where they want to be. So if I've got clearly understand where I am, clearly understand where I want to be, the problems are those things that are thrown around in between. I don't have the time. That would be an excuse problem. I don't have the talent. I don't have the wisdom. I don't have the people. All those things are problems that keep you from getting from point A to point B. So as you look at your client, I think it's important you understand what are the roadblocks that are holding them back from getting to where they want to be. And I know you'll say, well, but Bill, every client is different. Yeah, they are. They are specifically different in what might be holding them back, or how those things that are holding them back. But I guarantee you, your clients aren't that different. They all want the same thing. I mean, not the same exact thing, but they all want to be better. They want to be more. They want to be more fulfilled. They want to earn more money, whatever that is. If you're in the dental business, which I know we have a lot of listeners in the dental business, the dentists only want one of five things, or four of five things. They want to be more successful, spend less time in people's mouths, make more money, have a workflow that works for them, and not lose key employees, whatever those things are. You know what those are. You don't have to ask each dentist. You might say, look, generally we find that these five things are at the heart of what you want to accomplish. Are those things appropriate for you, or is something else that you want to accomplish? So the idea that you don't know what their problems are, you know what their problems. If you don't know what their problems are, you haven't been in the business long enough, or you're not listening. So I want you to think about using the problems that customers have on the journey from where they are to where they want to be as a time saver for you. Because if you get good at that, your closing percentage will go higher. You'll spend a lot less time with people who are going to say no anyway. Because when you can come to somebody and say, look, generally, here's what the problems are, and those people say, yes, Bill, those are our problem. That's exactly right. How do we fix it? You're in a better position to sell or to propose a solution than you are if you never found the problems in the first place. I always say that if you want to go from 20% close rate to, let's just say 70, let's be really aggressive, 70% close rate. You want to go from there, get clear on the problems, because the prospect is not seeing you as a solution to a problem, either because you haven't helped them identify it, or they just don't see you as the right choice, which is fine. So take your closing rate from 20 to 70% by getting deeper into the problems. But you can't go deeper if you don't know what they are, don't know what they are generally, and then specifically. So being clear about your ideal client, the problems that are in the way from them getting from point A to point B. Remember, I'm going to leave you with this. Don't think of problems as being random. So if I show up on a meeting, here's a good example. I show up on a meeting and I say, thanks for inviting me in, Jeremy. What are your biggest problems? Then the prospect will start to share stuff. Well, I can't get shipments out of Taiwan, and the pricing is all over the place, and I feel like I'm really not on track for where the pricing is, and I feel like we're spending way too much money. Okay, those are problems, but they don't fit in the context of anything. The context is, where are you now and where would you like to get in the future with your shipping and logistics and your whatever the market is. And then the problems are those things in the way, because at some point you're going to offer a vehicle. The vehicle is the thing that's going to get them from where they are to where they want to be. The vehicle that transverses and navigates around the problems, or maybe preempts them so you don't have them. So if you're just randomly talking about problems with customers, you're not telling the whole story. The whole story is, where are you now? Which could be the dilemmas you have. You're unhappy with your current situation. Where would you like to be in the future? And then sort out the problems in between. That's a much better way to do it. And it's going to save you a lot of time too. Anybody have a comment? Let me know. I'm opening up for comments. Got some more people joining us. Okay. Number 3, time leverage planning. You see, here's the way I think something we miss. That we have all these journeys in our life. Maybe it's a journey that you're on to launching a new business, or launching a new product, or pursuing a deal, pursuing a client. Maybe you're in client pursuit, or maybe you've got a target market of 10 companies you'd like to work with over the next couple of years. Whatever that journey is for you. And again, we've got multiple journeys in our life. Maybe it's raising a child. Maybe it's, taking care of parents. And every one of those journeys has a map to it. Every one of those journeys has a map. So there is a right and wrong way to pursue your 10 target accounts. There's a right and a wrong way to do that. Now, we're not talking about that today, but generally there's a right and wrong way, and there's usually a map to get there. So if I want to land 5 clients in the next year, and let's say I'm typically in a 3 to 6 month sales cycle, I can do that. I've got to know the map. I've got to know the how to, what to do first, what to do second. Well, first you got to, send them a postcard. Second, you got to connect with them on LinkedIn. Third, you've got to write something that attracts, whatever those things are. But that's a journey. And the journey always has a plan to it. First we do this, then we do this, then we do this. That's the value of planning in terms of time leverage. Because if you don't plan out how you're going to raise your child, and I'm not talking about every day, here's what we're going to do, but generally we're going to expose him or her to this, and then this, and then this, and we're going to feed them broccoli when they get to be 3. It's just some kind of a general plan. Then you end up spending way too much time outguessing yourself and thinking, okay, did we say broccoli, or did we write that plan down? Where is that? I'll go back and do the research again. And then I spend another 4 hours on research, whether it's broccoli or carrots or what. That's a terrible example, but I've got a 7, 8-month-old granddaughter. Almost said son. Why did I think that? So the point there is I want to be a better planner on these journeys that I'm on in life. And I bet if you and I were to have a conversation and we would talk about that, we would find that you're probably on several journeys. You're probably on 4 or 5 different journeys, and every one of those needs a plan. Everyone needs a project plan, not a day by day, but generally. This broadcast today brought to you by Million Dollar Seller. The course is now open. If you'll go to billcaskey.com/$1 Million Seller, you can learn more. It's for people who want to scale their business to business sales professionals, CEOs, VPs of sales, without burning themselves out. The use of leverage, the use of how do we really leverage our time? This is part of that program that we're doing here, is taking a little bit out of that program and talking about time. But if you've liked this, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you, whether this topic is useful for you. We're here every day at 8:30. I really appreciate you commenting. For those of you who do, yeah, let's see, Daniel. I've got a comment here. Smart example, you mentioned the lawyer have given you documentation. Yeah. The lawyer should have given documentation, should have had a checklist. It would have taken him 5 minutes to do. It saved him $50,000 of time. So sometimes we look at our time as so valuable, but we forget about the time to redo or the time we're going to spend. So that might be something that you do today, is think about every hour, just take a look and say, what did I do last hour? And did it lead me anywhere? Was it a way to leverage my talent and wisdom? And was I able to leverage that time into something big? So I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday. No gifts, no cards. Tomorrow's my birthday. I will not tell you how old I am, but I will see you tomorrow at 8:30. See you then. Bye.